All right, welcome to Videoguys Live. You give us 15 to 20 minutes with Paul here. It's going to be 30 minutes or an hour, I'm sure. But we are very, very excited to have PTZOptics in the studio to show us the Hive Studio demo from the man himself, Paul Richards, the stream geek, the chief revenue officer of PTZOptics. But Hive is an incredible new technology that really makes remote production easy, affordable, scalable, and did I mention easy? How easy is it? How easy is it that guys at Infocom who are AV guys could catch on to how cool and how powerful Hive was? So before we get directly to the Hive demo, and I'm going to turn the show over to Paul, tell us a little bit about the experience you had at Infocom, because I think it really shows how the world is expanding beyond just broadcasting, beyond pro video and streaming, but actually into other markets. And that's real interesting to me because I think Hive is enabling those markets to be successful.
I agree. You know, the president of Avixa, who runs Infocom, said, we're not sure what we're going to call this, AV for broadcast or broadcast for AV, but all audiovisual integrators and professionals need to learn streaming and production. And it's because broadcast engineers can build a great broadcast control room. Professional audiovisual integrators are expanding that to the displays and the training and presentation spaces, and it's all converging into one giant system, which is generally on the network. We're talking about a lot of IP video. And over the past decade, what happened in Pro AV? It was IT and AV converging. So Pro AV is very ready for IP video.
Yeah, and I think the other thing is that what they're desperate for is content that looks a lot better, because one of the things that the AV world has had is they're paying a lot of money for people to produce great content for their digital signage, for their boardrooms, for their training. But the truth of the matter is you could take all that in-house, do it yourself, have it be more authentic, have it be more flexible and able to pivot and able to change your messaging quickly. And more than that, you can do as much or as little as you want at any given time. So you control. It's not like you have to wait for the video guy who's not going to see, the video production guys aren't coming into 2 weeks and you've got a hot thing that you want to talk about. So I think it's so important. And, you know, what's funny is we've also had a third level of person we've always sold to as video guys. It's just the individual videographer, streamer type guy like that. Now, we've taken care of that guy. We've taken care of broadcast. We have all this AV in the middle, and it's exploding. I couldn't believe that at Infocom, how that was exploding. So let's jump in to the Hive. Give us the 2-minute elevator pitch on what Hive is before you get into the demo.
So what Hive is going to do is it's going to bring video production software to the cloud. And what that means, it's almost like Google Docs. Remember when we had a word processor, but it wasn't connected to anything? That's the way 98% of the broadcast industry is today. It's a video system that's on a network. It does IP, but it's not connected to the cloud. So imagine Word doc with the share button. And that's what Google Docs did. This is a video production system for PTZ camera control, for video switching, for recording with a share button. And now we can get so many more people involved in the production. And that's what's happening in Pro AV, right? The IT guy is being asked to organize the live streams, organize the meeting rooms, organize the video. Creating high quality video is table stakes in corporate and across the globe.
And what's amazing is as I've been pitching for the last year and a half, as people have come back to the office but haven't, companies have a 10 by 10, a 15 by 10, a 20 by 20 space that they can easily convert into a studio. It doesn't mean it's got to be an expensive studio. It's just a place that maybe has like a green screen like we have behind us to do the effects, or maybe it's got a set that you set up. It's got a couple of cameras. It may be using OBS, it may be using vMix, it may have a TriCast. It doesn't matter what they're streaming with. But the key is when they're using PTZ cameras, they don't need cameramen. So now all of a sudden, a single person, he could be the talent, or he could be a single person with the talent, can produce the show, but you don't need a team of people. If you prep right and you use the right tools, it's amazing how you can scale and produce video now. And the Hive is a great example of that. So take it away.
Yeah, so here we are. Right now, your studio, Gary, I've given you access to my studio in Downingtown. So when we click the top right button here,
which is just outside Philadelphia.
So outside Philadelphia, we can, by one click, jump into our studio. But right now, we're in your studio.
So why don't you just show us how you can control some of our cameras here.
Okay, so we'll start with your cameras. Now, you'll notice that this software is in local mode. So we are on the local area network here, which a lot of people do video production.
So how do I know I'm in
on
local mode? Show me where
There's
I find
a button right here that has a little cloud
that upper
there.
corner, I see.
That is telling us the cloud is not on.
Okay.
And you are not using any cloud hours. You're not connecting to you are on the local area network.
Cool.
So right now I can kind of pan left, I can pan right using my keyboard here. Very
Nice.
simple. If you have,
Yep.
all you need is a laptop. And it doesn't matter if you're using a Chromebook with a Wi-Fi access at Starbucks, or if you've got a huge PC, because all the processing is going to happen in the cloud and transcode it back down. So if you've got a Chromebook and you're in a coffee house and you're a remote worker, doesn't matter what computer you have, we'll transcode whatever your computer's capable of using. So it really democratizes access to high quality computing because we handle it all in the cloud.
I can pan, tilt, and zoom from the cloud. Can I like access presets and stuff like that also?
We've got the presets right down here. So we've got presets down here. We've got all of our auto tracking down here. We have, of course, my favorite part, which is the share button. Right. So if you want to share access with people, you might, if you're a church, let's say, you might want to share view-only access to certain people, maybe the pastor that wants to see different, or associate pastor, or a stakeholder in the church, a community member who does a lot of donations, can see all the cameras and view what they want to view in real time.
Wait. So let's say I'm a widow, big donor to the church. For medical reasons, I can't get to the church anymore, but I really want to be there.
Yep.
I can now get access to the service, and I can pick the cameras I want. So if I want to look at my friends in the audience, I can. If I want to focus on my friend who's in the choir, I can. Or I can just watch a picture, or I can watch the show that's being produced also, right?
Yeah. You can bring any NDI video feed into Hive, so you can have a confidence view of what the real broadcast is. But then, and especially in sports, this is big, where you can choose exactly which camera you want to see at any time. But we're not giving them PTZ control or admin control of the studio.
But as an example, if I had that I knew I had a high school star, and I had a camera that was the hero camera on that kid.
Yes.
I could just give a scout access to that camera if I wanted to. They can see that kid, playing basketball or doing what he's doing.
Yeah. And with auto tracking, we can set it up so it's click to track. So the scout can literally just click which player they want the camera to follow, and it'll just follow that specific subject.
Now that auto tracking, is that auto tracking in the Hive as a feature? Is that auto tracking that's in the camera, or is it whichever you want? I'm a little confused.
You'll be able to choose whichever you want. So directly in PTZOptics cameras, we support auto tracking.
Okay.
Where it supports presenter lock, meaning you can lock into a specific subject and it'll stay in there. Doesn't matter how many people are in there. And from a sports example, as you said, we also support dynamic zoom. So while the camera's auto tracking, we could zoom in close if we want to get a head and shoulders of a pastor on the stage, or zoom out for sports where you want to see the play develop. You want to track that star, but you want to see when he passes the ball.
Very cool. So now I see you can control my cameras. Show me, let's do what you started. Show me how you control these cameras in Philadelphia.
All right. So what we're going to do, and this is great, we're talking to corporate companies who have 50 conference rooms.
Right.
And it's their job to make sure that these conferences go well and that the professionals look good. Right. Sometimes it's just framing a camera for the CEO to make sure that they look good. But their IT team is in California. They're a global company. They've got 50 offices. They can't be everywhere. This solves that problem for them.
Yeah, and I know one of the top requests we always get from House of Worship is the guy who normally does the show is sick or isn't here. Can someone just run the show in some way through the cameras or what have you? So you can have someone from home do it, or if the person's sick but at home and able to do it, they just can't come into the church, then they can do it, or if they're on vacation. So very cool. So what am I looking at here, if we can bring this up full screen?
So what we'll do is let's go ahead and bring in a multi-view. So we're looking at 5 PTZ cameras that we have access to.
In Philadelphia. We're in Mineola, New York right now.
And I can go ahead and control these cameras, and all I have to do is with a click of a button, be able to, this is the click to center tool. Very intuitive for a volunteer. You just click where you want the camera to go, and it goes there.
You're jumping ahead. Show the click to center tool.
Yes.
I love this tool.
It's a good tool.
Because, joystick control and all that, you gotta, even if you're an experienced operator, you get used to the joystick, you get used to everything. The click to center just takes you to the object you want to focus on. So can we bring one of these up full screen and just do click to center as a demo? And I'm sorry for jumping around on this, because this is a feature that comes from the Hive, correct? This isn't something in your cameras.
Yes.
This is a Hive feature.
So
make it easier to control PTZ camera.
It does. So click to center is actually pretty good, easy for just following someone because you can just click where they're going. Now, another one, sorry for jumping around, but this one is called fast frame. And what this is going to do is you're going to pick where you want the PTZ camera to move, that you're choosing the frame, and then you click, and it's going to go exactly to that position. So this is a lot more like not needing presets anymore.
It's almost like a preset on the fly.
It's exactly, and in live production, what are presets going to do for you if everybody's moving around?
Correct.
So this is my favorite feature right here. Now in the drop-down menu at the top, you'll notice we have a fast frame and we have a cine frame. So fast frame is to get it to that frame as fast as possible. Let's try cinematic framing.
All right, let the guys, we're on full screen, cool. I want the video guys to catch up so that people at home can see the video.
So now what we're going to do is this is going to be a much smoother pan tilt zoom. Right. It's not as fast. It's going to be a little slower, but it's more cinematic for on-camera movements.
I love this, and I always do this if I got a feature request.
Okay.
I would love if I could keyframe that, so I could have it maybe come down and swoop and speed
the ramping.
up and some stuff.
We're getting
some
that
ramping, kind of like what
request.
After Effects does. And I know that would be a deeper level of stuff, like an extra feature.
Yeah.
But you're onto something here, because the one thing that I've noticed is, let's say I only have one PTZ camera, and that's the shot I want.
Yeah.
That motion could be kind of gave it away.
Yeah.
When you're given this nice cinematic sweep, can we show that once again? Because that was just
Let's show
so
it again.
smooth.
And I want to mention that, click to center is the same way. So there's a click to center that's super fast.
You're jumping. Let's stay on center
Stay on center frame. Okay.
And then we'll do click to center.
Okay, so we did the fast frame, that's as fast as possible. Now we're going to do cine frame. Let's choose a different location here.
Let's go just zero in on the whole poster.
The whole poster? Okay, so we'll go to the poster. I'm going to zoom out of here. And that I'm changing the zoom level with the wheel of my mouse. So the wheel of your mouse, it gets you to change the zoom level, and then you click the position once to go ahead and click it, and then boom, that is the cinematic version that's pan, tilting, and zooming at the same time. Now, the fast frame is faster, but obviously if we're on camera, as you said, especially if you only have one camera. Now the click to center is also got the same option.
Now, talk about it. I know we don't have the camera set up above. That's not my fault. But what key did you just hit to go back like that?
Okay.
You got hotkeys set on your laptop.
So we have hotkeys. So if you're, you can do up, down, pan, tilt, zoom for, I'm using a keyboard, just arrow keys.
Yeah.
And then zooming in and out is the plus and minus.
Okay.
And then I can switch cameras with 1, 2, 3, 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4 are going to do the camera switches. And plus and minus are going to do zooming in and out.
Awesome stuff. All right.
This little one here is going to go to our multi-view.
Yep.
So you can go back and forth between your multi-views. And you can see right now that the cloud button is enabled because we are connecting over the network. Now, just while we're on this cloud connecting, let's take a look at the monitoring tab. And what we're going to do here is we're going to click this little monitoring tab.
Let the guys bring it up full speed. Give them a chance. There we go.
We'll bring this up full screen. We'll see that these cameras are coming in via NDI.
Right.
They are in 1080p at 30 frames a second, and they're coming in at roughly 5 megabits per second. Yep. So this is all editable and updatable remotely. So if we're over here and we're saying, you know what, our upload's not handling it, or our download's not working, we can adjust all of this remotely, which is kind of the dream for remote production, just to dial everything in just right.
Very cool. And then if I want to go back to the cameras that are here, how do I do that?
And just before we leave the monitoring tab, in the Pro AV space, monitoring your audiovisual equipment is a big deal.
Oh, yeah.
And so we're going to be adding more and more ability to monitor encoders and different devices so that all of the devices in your professional audiovisual setup can be remotely monitored. So you'll get an email if something goes down or something's not correct.
Very cool.
So you wanted to do what?
Let's go back to our studio.
All right. So we'll go into the top left here. And as your organization grows, you can always add more studios. So as your organization grows, you want to add another conference room, add another boardroom, you just go ahead and add more.
Cool.
But let's go to the Broadfield studio now. And it's going to take about 10 seconds to toggle between one studio to the next. But you can see there we are, and we're in.
And now, do you want to show us some more features on what we can do? Because I know you can actually get into the camera's settings, correct?
Yes.
Like color and things like that remotely.
Yes. Oh, 100%. So first of all, I'll let you see that Adam here is in the studio. So Adam can actually control the camera. He's been invited to the studio, and we can see that he's here, and he can control our PTZ camera. So as you start inviting people into your studio, just like Google Docs, you'll see their presence in the studio. Now, each camera here, when we add a camera to the studio, what's going to happen is you're going to be able to search the local area now.
Okay.
It's going to find all of your NDI cameras, all of your PTZOptics cameras, and honestly, any Sony, Panasonic, etc. cameras, Canon.
I'm calling a timeout. Calling a timeout. So this, people are probably thinking this needs PTZOptics cameras only. But you're saying you work with any. Does the camera have to be NDI, or is it just any camera? Like,
yeah, honestly, almost any camera, and I'll break it down for you. So it could be a USB webcam plugged into the computer, and then you can control that remotely. It could be an on-VIF camera, which means any security camera.
Right.
It could be any NDI camera. It could be any PTZOptics camera. But what we've done,
or it could be a competitive camera,
or it could be a Canon, or Panasonic. It could be a Bird Dog. But the difference is, I'll show you here if we go through this, is that we've actually gone out and built drivers for Ada, Aver, Bird Dog, Canon, and this is not just generic. If you get a camera that is not a mainstream brand, you can click Other, and what we're going to do is Visca over IP. And it's just going to be pan, tilt, zoom, up, down, left, right. But if you choose like a Panasonic AW, let's say, you know, one of these UE150s, which is a high-end camera, it's actually the driver built for the camera, meaning we can edit every single setting for that camera.
Every function becomes available for me in the cloud remotely from wherever I am in the world. So,
and that's the key that you understand. When we go into the advanced settings here, now we can edit the stream, the bit rate, the frame rate.
So there's got to be some advantage to using a PTZOptics camera.
You're right. There is an advantage to using PTZOptics, which is we have built Hive directly into the PTZOptics cameras, meaning you can take a PTZOptics camera, connect it to your Hive Studio one time, and then disconnect it. Every time that camera boots up, it will connect to your cloud.
Wait. So I can set a camera. I can buy a PTZ camera, PTZOptics camera, for my studio, my church, my house of worship. I set it up. I get it up in Hive, and all of a sudden I find out that one of our pastors taking a trip, and they're going to Bethlehem, and they're going to visit there, and they're going to be doing a special service from the church over there. He could just set up that PTZ camera, and now all of a sudden our house of worship studio can control that camera from across the world.
You could just,
and I don't need any special computer there. They don't need a studio. If that camera is on the internet, we can find it, and all the work we did to set it up is there.
It is done. And the great thing is the pastor can still use an IR remote. He can still plug in USB to do a Zoom session, but all the remote connectivity, video, audio, control, is all cloud-based now.
So that video is coming from the PTZ camera, wherever it is in the world, back to wherever you want it to go to. Well, it's going up to the Hive. And then anyone who connects to the Hive, so if I have 15 different studios or 15 different conference rooms from a corporate guy, and my VP is going to meet with another company, they're going to announce that we have this great deal we're doing. I can bring it in, and I can have it set up in every conference room, in every one of my offices across the globe with this camera that I just shipped over there. I don't have to send a technician. I don't have to send a laptop. I don't have to worry about my VP fumbling with his laptop and cursing and yelling at me that I set it up wrong.
IP addresses.
He plugs the camera in, and everyone gets to see it, and it all be controlled from the Hive.
Yes, that's the way it works. Currently, what we're showing in your studio is, we're showing these cameras connected to your laptop. So we support Mac, PC, and Linux computers that can run the Hive on a computer. And it can connect to your webcams and connect to
which is important if I don't have a PTZ camera with Hive built in.
But if Hive's built in, if the PTZOptics Move SE starting at $999 or the Move 4K starting at $1599, it can connect directly to the cloud. So if you're a video producer and you have a 2 or 3 camera shoot, but you don't want to fly out to Dallas, Texas, or fly out to San Francisco, you can just ship 2 or 3 cameras. Or in a bigger use case that we're seeing is, let's say you are a house of worship and you have the PTZ cameras installed, but you want someone else to control them.
Yep.
You can offer remote production services to all kinds of businesses, and it's a multi-billion-dollar business, and now your costs are reduced because you don't need to travel or fly.
And nothing against Teams and Zoom, but now I'm bringing people in with a professional-looking video device, and I think getting back to Infocom, I think it's really broadcast for AV, because we're going to bring better quality content to that AV world, which is really a distribution and share world. It's not really a content creation world. So let's help them produce the best video they can. Plus, with a PTZ camera, like you said, you can track people if they're moving. I can pick things that I want to focus on for that particular show, which maybe they're sitting on the couch one day and they're on the chair the other day. But the fact that anyone anywhere can control it. So I can just have one guy who's my backup guy if I'm a house of worship, who I know, Ted, Bob, who usually runs the show, isn't here. Get on the Hive, just give us a basic show, control the cameras, basically switch, just make sure if the preacher walks out of the frame, he stays in the frame, little stuff like that, you know. Thank you so much, and Bob will be back next week doing all the cool stuff we normally do with our show.
Yeah, I mean, we want people to be able to come in and use this technology, which is why this is available in local mode. You can use all of this locally, and I know many houses of worship want volunteers to come in, but it's also one of the biggest pains when they can't come in and everything falls apart. It's much easier to convince somebody to help you from their home where they don't have to do any traveling.
And the controls are very basic, easy controls. So if I'm a house of worship doing it locally, Bob's out sick, Ted can come in. He doesn't have to understand how to work all this crazy gear. He just has to set up the laptop that he's been trained to do and do the basic stuff. So the world of volunteers, I think, is so important, which brings me back to the easy button aspect of this. This really makes controlling and using PTZ cameras easier, even if you're going to do it on premise.
Yeah.
But then the fact that you can do it remote is just sweetness. So what do you want to show us next?
So we talked a little bit about the color correction tools, and I want to spend some time on this because the current state of the industry, if you have multiple brands of cameras especially, you've got a tab open for every camera, the buttons are in different places. This centralizes everything because we've built all of these drivers we can normalize the controls. And this is the color correction. There's two tabs on the right-hand side. One is for your PTZ controls, whether you want to lock focus or do some basic, speed controls. But the image settings here, what this allows us to do is a couple things. One is to set an image preset. So you can have presets for PTZ control, for PTZ positions. You can also have presets for images, for image settings.
So I could have a preset, if I'm a house of worship, I can have a preset for my noon service when there's natural sunlight, or for my evening service when we're using whatever is the light that the church has. And nothing against houses of worship, but the lighting in house of worship is one of the most difficult things for us in the video business to do, because there's a mixture of fluorescence and LEDs and old style lights. There's light coming through stained glass, and there's light behind stained glass on purpose, and there's lights bouncing off of things. So it's never really easy. So I think that's real important. Now, am I getting access to the different color correction tools that each camera has, or do you have like a universal color tool for everybody's camera?
So everybody's cameras are a little different.
Right.
Panasonic might be 50 to 80, Sony might be 40 to 60, and PTZOptics might be 50 to 200.
Right.
They're all a little different. But what we do is we normalize the scale. And so when we have a slider here for gain limit, we can make that very similar no matter which camera you're on. You're going to have one thing that you can train your volunteers on, and you're going to have the same settings for everything.
So if I teach my volunteers or one person to use this color tool, he really can fix any camera we have in the studio locally, great, but remotely in the world as well. And I can't, when you cut from cameras and Gary goes from pink to white to gray, and my shirt goes from blue to purple to pink, it's offsetting. Color matching the cameras is one of the trickiest things you can do. And now we add in a green screen, there's another level of complexity. But I know that when the colors match correctly, it's kind of like when you get the audio right. It's just easier to watch and more enjoyable. That you're giving a tool that anyone can now use to get to that, regardless of the camera they have. It's great because some of these color control tools for some of these cameras are incredibly powerful, but they're also kind of deep, and you got to dig in to get to them and stuff like that. So you've got them right here on the surface of the Hive. I mean, it's one click that says image or control. So do I want to use a PTZ controller, or I want to fix the image?
I mean, look, this tab right here is the web interface for PTZOptics, and we spent a lot of time on it. it looks pretty good. I think if I hit the refresh button, we'll get a live video preview. But the thing is that, you know, there's a lot of tabs and there's a lot of things here that it can do, and it's very powerful. There's a whole auto tracking area, right? But, you know, when you get it in Hive, now it doesn't matter what brand you're using, what camera it's, and even going tab to tab, you don't want to do that. You want to have everything in one interface where you can have a multi-view of all your cameras to match them together.
That's what I really love about this. I can teach my volunteer, my student, my junior assistant in the marketing department, whatever it is, one tool, and now they are a PTZ camera operator wizard. And it's easy. And I don't think I mentioned easy enough at the beginning of this show, but so many times people develop stuff in our industry that's so cool, but it requires a level of training and skill to use that only a few people can really access the coolness.
Yeah.
This is making this coolness universally accessible to everyone, whether they're in your office or whether they're remote. Can we talk a little bit about the pricing model?
Yes.
I know people are like, this sounds great, Gary, but I know you're going to tell me it's like $5,000 a year. And they're going to be like, oh, no, it's not. I'm sorry I even threw out that number. The pricing model is really fantastic.
So first of all, what I'm pulling up here is your account.
Right.
So you're going to have accounts. You're going to have a photo so people can see your face. And, you know, in a remote world, that's important. There's security. We've got a super secure password. We can turn on 2FA. Things that you would want as an administrator.
So no one's getting to my cameras unless I give them permission and actually tell them they can access my camera.
And if you want to revoke control, it's as easy as a drop-down menu saying, hey, remove the control. You can also set an expiration. So you could say, hey, I want to let Bobby in just for Sunday. And then after Sunday at 2 o'clock, it's gone. They're out of there.
Very cool. Let's go back to the setup of the pricing, but you guys have done some good homework. I love it.
So now let's go to the billing. This is your account, right?
Yep.
And so we have multiple plans. This is where you're going to see how much cloud usage that you've used.
Right.
But let's go ahead and look at the plans. Now, the first plan is free. So every single person, whether you have a PTZOptics or a Canon or a Sony, can use this for free.
Yep.
It's free for one camera, up to 5 hours of cloud usage, and 5 collaborators. The difference between a free and a paid plan is those 5 collaborators, they're all admins.
Okay.
So if you want to be able to control user access, you're going to need to have a paid plan.
Okay.
The other thing is, at $25 a month, you're going to have 3 video sources.
Do those 3 video sources have to be in the same place, or it's any 3 video sources anywhere in the world?
Any 3 video sources in a single studio.
Okay.
So however you get them in is up to you. But and then the Pro plan is unlimited. Now, one thing I want to mention is that if you buy the yearly plans, not only will you save roughly 20%, but our channel partners will always be 5% less than the platform itself. So we really encourage everyone to purchase Hive for the annual plans from an authorized reseller. You'll save 5% on your annual plan. So if you try the monthly, you're seeing if it works. But when you're ready to buy an annual plan, reach out to someone like Videoguys and get an annual plan and save 5% on your plans.
And we love that you're doing that, but we also know that some people just have it in their mind that they want to pay monthly. And that's just something that even a video, we don't, channel partners deals just don't have the ability to bill so monthly, and we don't have the infrastructure for it. You built that, so that's great, but you're encouraging people to go to the annual, and it also means if you're on the monthly plan, you get comfortable enough that you're ready to save some money, you can switch over to the annual and save some bucks. That's cool. So tell me, what's $9.99 per year for the Pro Studio?
Yes.
What, when you unlimited, what am I really getting? I'm getting what? I can use as many cameras as I want, in as many different locations.
And as many collaborators as you want. So you could have as many people working in that studio as you'd like. And that's important for viewers. You can have as many viewers as you like. You can have as many producers as you like, as many camera operators as you like.
So if I'm college with 10, 20, 30 lecture centers, no problem.
Yep, exactly.
If I'm 5 or 6 churches in an area with 3 or 4 cameras in each one, no problem.
Yeah, essentially. If you have less than 3 cameras, you could probably get away with the basics, the standard studio.
Right.
But if as soon as you get to that 4th camera, you know, and you want to start adding more people, the Pro Studio is where you
And then if I'm going to do a remote sports presentation, I got 6 cameras around the basketball court, I get the Pro version.
Yep.
The $9.99 is less than $100 a month.
It is. And you know, one thing for sports, and I know we'll wrap this up, but one of the things we heard a lot at Infocom is that the coaches want to record their own mix. And what this does is you're not just locked down to one studio. You could have 10 people recording their own mixes on the own special players, the scouts, the different coaches on both teams. Everyone can record and stream their own mix if they want.
I love this as a coaching tool because let's say you are a high school division and you've got 16 teams in your high school division. If each team in that division set up a PTZ camera that the visiting coach could use,
yeah,
you know, or if you're the coach and you want to set up a bunch of cameras to analyze your players, you know, as a tool like a compliment huddle or some other thing. So I think coaches wanting to get at this is going to be something that's going to grow virally as more coaches get involved, especially when you add that auto tracking. Yeah. And now I don't have to worry the player's always in frame. I love the corporate use for this where we're going to put it in, you know, like I said, 20 or 30 lecture centers. I think it's still a broadcast tool. Let's say I've got two or three studios and I want to time together or bring in remote guests at high quality. I love the fact that I can get a PTZOptics camera, program it for my Hive, and I can shoot that camera anywhere in the world. It plugs into the internet and it goes and it finds it.
Yep.
That's super cool. I think this is amazing new technology. I think it's great for people in pro video, great for people in broadcast. What it's going to do, the AV market is going to be amazing. But I also think in the streaming market, it's just going to give people a chance to have some resiliency, a backup, and some flexibility to just bring more to their show, whatever that show is. Good job, man.
Thanks, Gary. I think you covered a lot of that.
So I always like to have our guests have one last word when they're on a show, whether they're remotely or here. So I had a big kind of setup for the last word. I'm going to turn it over to Paul. PTZOptics, Stream Geeks. I would say you're one of the leaders in the streaming industry. I know this was a lot of your baby. You had a lot to do with it. Before I give you the last word, talk about where you think this could be going in the next year or two. We talked about a feature set. And now we're not talking about stuff that's in the product now. We're talking about what's the vision? Where could this be going?
Well, let's think about this for a second. I remember when Zoom first came out and cloud video conferencing was new. And a lot of video conferencing systems were hardware-based and they were expensive.
WebEx. Updated and, 3 times every conference.
Cisco, Tamberg, and these were $10,000 video boxes that were every room we were putting in. And then the cloud changed everything. Suddenly you could host a Zoom call from your phone. Suddenly everyone was Zooming from different locations. This is very similar to what's happening in the broadcast market. And what's happening with Zoom right now? There's Zoom Rooms.
Right.
There's actual audio-visual technology being integrated to make this stuff work a lot better. I foresee that the broadcast world is going to expand significantly into Pro AV. And Pro AV integrators are really well positioned. They've done the AV over IP situation. They're IT-centric. They understand networking. NDI's come so far. IP video has come so far. This is a very big missing link. We've got NDI bridge, but we don't know our outside IP address and the port numbers to do the port forwarding. SRT is great, but do we really know how to use the router and all of that information? This is the easy solution that needed to be made to make the cloud work. And it's going to expand quickly, Gary. We've put a lot of resources into this. The team is growing. We've got people working on this. So please join the beta. Get this for free and let us know because we want to listen to you because the customers are going to be in the driver's seat here.
And I also want to mention that you guys are a U.S. company with U.S.-based support. You're not 24/7 yet, but your normal business hours. But you can talk to a live person who can help you, and that'll extend to the Hive as well when people are up and using that in the beta program.
For sure.
Paul, now I'm going to give you your last word for the show.
Well, I'll piggyback on what you said, Gary. We're not happy unless our customers are happy. So if you're having a small issue, call us. Let us know. We've got a great support team. There's a reason why we provide a 5-year warranty with our cameras because they're built well. The Hive just expands what we are going to be supporting, right? We're going to be supporting over 400 PTZ cameras into this ecosystem. And we're not just going to be supporting the broadcast people anymore. We're going to be supporting the coaches, the teachers, the principals. This is the share button here. If you get a Hive shared with you and it's not working, call us because this is going to expand the ecosystem and the new use cases that are coming out. I was live streaming a tennis match just to check our auto tracking to make sure it would work. All the tennis coaches were saying, please share this with me, please share this with me. You're right that it's going to be viral. We want you to share this. Share it securely. Share it with those that you trust. But it's going to be a fun experience when you take all those PTZ cameras that are in your house of worship or in a local location and you do it from home. It's fun. You're going to enjoy it.
Great show, Paul. I thank you so much. I want to remind everyone, Tuesdays at 3 o'clock, Videoguys Live. I'm going through the usual social media pitch now. You know, like us on Facebook, love us on Twitter, follow us on YouTube, all that good stuff. Tell your friends, tell your family. You've got a show, Stream Geeks, that you do also as well. Watch that show. Guys, this is Gary from Videoguys. Paul, thank you so much for being on the show. This is great technology. We're in the beta phase right now. Join up for the beta, learn more, get on board with this thing. This is going to be big. The Hive is going to be huge, and it's going to be sweet as honey. Peace.
Videoguys is available Monday through Friday. Give us a call at 1-800-323-2325. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter and Instagram to stay connected with all of our updates. And you can like us on Facebook. Keep an eye out for our live videos, and don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Thanks for watching.